Good morning. Um, this week we are in the second parsha of the last book of the written Torah, the five books of Moses. Um, and I just want to give a broad, what came to me as a theme, um, that I see this parsha as Moses really reviewing and imparting to the people so many different ways that the truth of oneness at the core of everything was revealed to him during these 40 years of wandering in the desert. And in those 40 years, he was in this direct communication with the energy of oneness, which Torah identifies by so many different names: Yud He Vav He, Adonai, Elohim, El. So, out of Moses's life experiences as a leader, himself as a wanderer, and particularly in this 40 years of direct relationship with the life, the force, the energy that really represents oneness. He's now teaching uh, different ways for us to find this and take refuge in this in our lives. That this is really good news for us, um, and points to a way out of the disasters that humanity uh, has been consumed by from then until now. So that's my big overall theme. Um, in this book, which is called Vaethanan, which is translated as "and I pleaded," and I would love to hear from other people. I've been trying to understand other ways of translating that, but it particularly refers to this moment when Moses is sharing with such deep vulnerability that he or at least this is how it's traditionally translated or habitually translated, that he begged the force of life, eternal presence. He begged to be allowed to enter the promised land and was told no. So this Vayet Hanan is the expression from Moses. These are Moses's words pleading for entry. And, so here's a leader speaking this language that everyone can hear. So he's speaking to everyone. I mean, the whoever was left after the Korach rebellion, he's just speaking to everyone with total vulnerability. This is what I tried, and this life force, our creator, for them, this is our creator said no to me. And that the vulnerability of leadership that this parsha starts out with is so moving and beautiful. um, and he is continuing. Last week was the beginning of Devarim, which is the Hebrew name for this book, this final book of Torah. And Devarim is a word that means word and thing. And I want to talk a little bit about, what does that mean? What are the words that are so powerful that they also are things? And Moses does recount that in this parsha also, which I'll go into in a moment. But in this second book of Devarim, he's continuing this address to all the people. And Torah emphasizes it's to all the people. And so the tradition speaks about how Moses, through his journey and through really deeply listening to the eternal presence that he's in constant dialogue with, has that Moses is the human, called at the end of Torah the greatest prophet ever known by Israel, right? Prophet has to do with his words, that Moses um, mastered this way of speaking that everyone could hear. And I've been thinking, so this whole parsha, as all of the rest of them and last week's, is almost all Moses' words speaking to the people in this universal language, meaning this language that everyone can, that so has integrated the experience and the wavelength of everyone, that everyone can hear it and relate to it and resonate with it, right? Because he's speaking word things. These are like the words that resonate with people. So I was thinking, how does that happen? I mean, in addition to having, this continual in-person revelation with, the mysterious, omnipresent God of Torah, like how does that happen for us? Because that's so important. This is a wisdom text. We're reading it. I'm reading it to see what is this teaching me for my life? And what came to me in a conversation with a friend is that he was speaking, it is said he was speaking all the 70 languages at once. And for me, what has happened with Moses, because so much of this book is about his spiritual journey from someone who said to God, "Don't pick me; I can't speak at all," right? To becoming the master of the word that resonates with all of life. Um, that he has listened to all the voices within himself and integrated those. And we know from reading the last three books, right? Moses is introduced in the book of Exodus, and then it continues in the next, we're now on the fourth book that Moses is at the center. We know that this is someone who started with words of anger and killed. Really, it started with his mother tongue being stolen from him. Right, he was sent. Pharaoh was going to kill him as an infant, so he's put in a little um, floating basket, and he's taken to the palace. So he's brought up. He had 3 months with his mother, probably singing Hebrew songs to him, but the rest of the time it's Egyptian. So this is someone whose mother tongue was stolen from him, so he couldn't speak clearly, and now he's evolved and he's integrated all his spiritual journey has been to integrate all of these external experiences so that he's been able to really understand shame, blame, um, unbridled emotion, the one that led him to kill, right, the Egyptian taskmaster. So Moses has integrated all the voices in him that said, "You're not good enough." Remember, that was his first thing. Well, why me? And no, there's never enough, never enough. Let me see more of you. He has integrated all of these voices that haunt me, and that I'm guessing haunt many of us, maybe all of us humans. Doubt, self-doubt. Um, he's integrated those, and he can come forth then and speak words that resonate to all the voices in all the humans. And this is the voice that we're now going to hear. And I'm just going to go through and share some of the ways that from this integration of his own human experience, his own inner vulnerability. And the Parsha, as I said already, starts out with him speaking from this place of vulnerability. So the Parsha is highlighting, right? Moses and Toyrah is highlighting, come from within to, if you want your words to land on everyone, speak from within yourself. And help everyone integrate all of the voices that are punishing people and holding them back. And we've seen this people, the Israelites, continually, right, going back to fear, dread, disbelief, doubt, victimhood, right? Like why did you bring us here? It was even better in Egypt. I mean, that's like this recurring theme. And when we can integrate all the voices within us of fear and doubt, and then we can master them and bring them along with us, that is when we can actually relate to everybody else's fear and doubt, which is, of course, what we need to learn to do if we're going to stop using war to resolve our differences. Um, so this is Moses revealing many of the secrets that he learned really from this mysterious divine presence that he was in continual contact with. Because in a way, this whole book and this Parsha is a retelling of everything we already heard from Moses' experience, and his experience includes these secrets that were revealed to him, like in the wilderness, on the mountain over the wilderness, in the shadows of the mountain under the wilderness, that he's now revealing these secrets to us. And so I think we want to pay attention. The first secret, actually, I saw this morning, is from one of my favorite Hasidic masters, right? This is the Book of Truth. It's the Sfat Emet, and who I first learned about at the Woodstock Jewish Congregation, which is hosting us this morning. And the Sfat Emet starts off, at least Art Green starts off the Sfat Emet's piece about this week's Torah portion by saying that the portion, just looking, I wrote it down. Well, that what it's saying is that when Moses and Torah and the tradition are saying oneness is the heart of everything, that what it's saying, actually, I could read this because it's so beautiful. The meaning of Yud He Vav He, or God is one. This is the words of the Sfat Emet, the Polish. He was Polish from Ger, Poland. These are his words. How Art Green translates his words. It goes beyond the fact that there is just one God. There is Yud He Vav He and nothing else. Everything that exists is only this one God. That's what the V'ahavta, many of the prayers that we do in our daily liturgy are in this Torah portion. So one of them is the one we say after the Shema, and I'm going to talk a lot about the Shema in a minute. The prayer we say after the Shema, the V'ahavta, is, yes, and you shall take these words of oneness and put them on your heart and carry them through the day. That what the Sfat Emet, the Hasidic mystical master, is pointing out is that this doesn't mean there's only one God. This means that there's only oneness. And what a guide for us in our lives. If we could go through life, someone does something that's scary or disgusts us, if we could just take a breath and remind ourselves, wow, this is how the oneness is manifesting right now. This is not separate from me. Right? I am part of that. This is really the medicine, I think, for compassion and understanding and forgiveness. I mean, if we don't find ways for our society to step into collective forgiveness, I think we're doomed. We'll never be able to work together to save the climate, which is what we need to be doing. So that this is the first teaching that actually leapt at me this morning about oneness. What does it mean? It means that there's only one, that all of us, we are one human family. We are one life family. That whatever is happening, it's the manifestation of the oneness. It's not out there. Um, I thought, I'll go through a few and then we'll do a short practice. A major teaching in this Parsha is this whole teaching about that I think also highlights this theme of oneness. Is It says in many ways, in many different parts of the Parsha, don't make a likeness, don't create an image of another person, even things that crawl on the earth. I was sort of astonished when I read this, because usually when we think of the 10 vibrations, which I'm going to talk, the 10 Devarim, the 10 commandments, the 10 vibrations, right? We think it's only saying don't make an image of this God. Well, in the Parsha, where the 10 commandments, this is this week, is um, kind of given over on this other level that includes all the secrets that have been transmitted. It's like, don't make a likeness of anything. And I'm like, wow. For me, what this door to oneness means is, first of all, start to develop my mind and understanding and clarity so that I know the difference between my projections of what someone is, what someone is doing, my projections about myself that come from, you know, unsteady attachment and, you know, shaming as a woman growing up in this world. You know, don't confuse my projections with what really is. Don't make that image, because if I attach to that image, right, then I'm a slave again. I'm a slave of shame. I'm a slave of ancestral trauma. Don't make a likeness, even of the things that crawl on the earth. I had never seen that before. It's right in this Parsha. And what is the greatest image that we make in our minds that I think enslave us and have enslaved the world? It's judgments. It's the way we judge ourselves and we judge each other. And of course, we're going to be judging, but know what it's saying. Know that those are your judgments and other people have their judgments. And the only way that we can create a world and a society where we're allowed to make our judgments, it's how we make meaning of things, right? But we need to leave space for everybody's judgments, is number one, not to worry about whether people agree or disagree with my judgment. They're mine. Okay, so right there, I'm loosening up my attachment to judgment, right? And number two is the same. You know, okay, that person has their judgments because of their experience. And this is what empathy is, like making room in the world for everyone to have their experience and for everyone to find words to express their experience. That's it. We don't have to take personally how people respond to our judgments. I mean, this is not easy. I had an episode on vacation a few weeks ago where I actually took personally what I was projecting were judgments of my 9-year-old grandson about me. I can laugh about it a few weeks later, but let me tell you, it was so painful. And then I'm reading the parsha like, oh yeah, I had this image of myself in my 9-year-old grandson's mind. And that image is what was causing me pain. It was, he locked a door and wouldn't let me into a room. And I like freaked out. I know this is a diversion, but I think it's a good illustration. And over the next few days, my daughters are like, Mom, he does that all the time. I was like, oh my God. The image that I had of what was in his mind about me was that I'm the only one he's ever done that to, and it's because there's something bad about the way I'm grandparenting. This parsha is saying, forget that. That is not reality. That is what your mind has created, and that is what causes you suffering. So it's right here. There's so much in this. And when we do the V'ahavta after the Shema, instead of like, kind of the rote repetition and the melody that so many of us have been saying forever. Oh, yeah, how can I let go of all of the images in my mind of that person, of myself, of of the world being, just doomed? How can I let go of that? That's what this prayer is saying, and step into oneness. And that is the prayer that follows the Shema. And the Shema is like so highlighted so deeply in this parsha. And this is, again, Moses is repeating all of this. He's saying, this is how you can create a life that connects you to oneness, to the insight, to the realization that he says to these people, that you heard at Mount Sinai. Wow, by the way, that's another oneness exploration. These people were not at Mount Sinai, right? Except for Moses and Joshua, and I guess Caleb is still there. Um, they weren't there in the body, but he's like, oh, you were there. So this is another teaching of oneness. You were there, meaning whatever vibration came down, right? That's when the 10 commandments came down to these the ancestors of the people who Moses is talking to on one level. um, this is where they heard these vibrations and this is why I like calling the 10 commandments the 10 vibrations, that what was transmitted there is so powerful that it continues to vibrate through the generations, and hasn't stopped yet. I mean, here we are in 2024 talking about them. So back to the like the Shema. um, when the as I started with the Sfat Emet, that this is a prayer that, first of all, Torah is very specific. You say it all the time. It's in the parsha. And it's not just when you're going in and when you're going out. It's when you're in. When you're inside, you're saying this. And when you're outside. This is, Jewish mindfulness practice. And I think it's just like the perfection of it. Go through your day. Our God is oneness. And this is how Reb Zalman taught us to translate the Echad in the Shema. Oneness. Our God is oneness. This is not this, nationalistic proclamation that we're so great because we believe in one God and nobody else does, which is like totally false. It just is like a superficial understanding of all the other religions to think that. But that's not what Reb Zalman, our teacher, the founder of Jewish Renewal, said the echad in oneness means, in the Shema means. It means that oneness is what we are. And what Moses is saying here, and the practice is, remind yourself of that all day, all the time. Somebody does something that's really annoying. I'm living in New York City now. I could be 24/7 annoyed. Instead of that, oh, oneness. Let me listen to oneness. And that's a practice that I thought we could try right now, um, to just for a moment, everybody just like, I'm going to stop talking in a moment. I'll just give a little direction. Just very slowly go inside and just listen, and listen deeply, as Moses did for 40 years. He listened deeply to oneness, and hear all the multitude of sounds, and just hear that these are all the sounds of oneness. So just for a moment. So we can get a sense of the multitude within the oneness. That is what this Parsha is offering to us in so many different ways. And the Shema, hear oneness. And when we can do this, that's when we have the Rav Lach, the you have enough. And that's what Moses is integrating and receiving at the same time. He doesn't have to physically own or possess or enter a land. That, and maybe that's the greatest teaching of this parsha, that our freedom, right, to be ourselves and love ourselves has nothing to do with entering and occupying a land. So, thank you.